I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're here. We're here with someone that supports Panthers. Mr. Finn, how are you today, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Panthers, how are they? They happy or what?
Happy, still running on our happiness from the end of last season.
They won, eh?
They did.
That's why they're still happy.
That's exactly
Have they
right.
played yet?
The Savo, actually.
Oh, so you miss out. What time's kickoff?
I think like 3.
Fuck, I should have set it up in the corner so we could have watched it at the same time. Wow. Who are they playing?
The Sharkies.
Trial game, eh?
Yeah.
So it's not even going to be the actual A sides.
No, it's like the B side.
Yeah. The hand-me-downs.
Pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, man, thank you for jumping on today. I just wanted to sit here, chat the shit. You know how it works. I wanted to get your story, your side of your story, why you're you, and how you're you, basically, and figure out what makes you tick. So, for the people out there who don't know you and are brand new to this, you know, the people that obviously don't live in Rocky or people that just have no clue who you are, start with your name, start with your age, start with your origin of birth, and we'll go from there.
Righto. Well, I'm Finn Walton. I'm 20 years old, 20 years young, and I'm studying psychology at the moment. I'm in
Holy
my
shit.
3rd year this year. I grew up on a little farm outside of Rocky with mum and dad and my little brother.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. Went to school with Noah, and
That was EMC, Mace.
that's the one.
And you were a Frenchie kid, weren't you?
No, I was a Quarrel boy.
Quarrel?
Yeah, there was
Ooh,
there was a whole 17 of us graduated.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know. I thought you were Frenchie.
No.
Bloody hell. So what was that like, being Quarrel? That's pretty rural.
Yeah, so it
Rural.
was,
Yeah.
there wasn't many of us, so it was like a real tight-knit
Yep.
community. We knew just about everyone in the school, so
Yep.
it was pretty cool.
How many of them in your graduating year went on to Emmaus? Hardly any, or?
I think there was 5 of us, actually.
That's a fair bit.
Yeah, so it was pretty high, like fraction of us went.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Joey's kid, Joey's PA.
Right.
So we're a feeder to Emmaus. Like, basically all of us went there. Like, you know, Mickey, Cooper,
Yeah,
all them,
yeah.
like all of them Joey's kids went there.
Yeah,
I think there was 2 out of our grade that didn't go to Emmaus.
Wow.
They pissed off to TCC.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
Pretty good. So listen, man, we're running up on a Sunday. We're at 3:30 right now. What's your week looking like? What happened throughout the week? Was anything impactful? Anything that stands out to you? Did you do any good deeds? Did someone do any good deeds to you?
Nothing really spikes and comes to mind. Sort of been just working a fair bit recently.
Yep.
I'm just a labourer
Mhm.
on a farm at
Yep.
the moment, so
Bit of everything.
bit of everything. Yeah, it's mostly solitary work.
Yeah, by yourself.
At the moment. Yeah.
So what are they doing? Is it a lot of cattle work, or are they actual producing, or?
So a bit of both.
Yep.
We do some cattle work. At the moment, I've been doing a lot of spraying.
Yep.
Yeah, just weed spraying at the moment. So
So what do they grow out there?
he just harvested a whole crop of mung beans.
Oh yeah.
I think he's got wheat going in the next few months.
Yep. Yeah, I got mob out at Delulu, so out the other way, Mount Morgan way. They got a fair bit of cattle, but they do a lot of barley, a lot of wheat as well.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their majority of livestock, but they got like a whole pig pen and chickens and all that shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it out there, man. It's so just like quiet.
Yeah.
You don't have to think.
Yeah.
You just do the job. The day ends, you have your cuppa, you feed,
Yep.
go to sleep, and you repeat the thing the whole next day.
That's it. Yeah.
It's a very simple and calming life. Like coming out of Emmaus, it's real calm, and I like visiting out there and just being able to not have to worry.
Yeah, exactly. Coming off a farm as I was a kid, yeah, I just loved it. I think that's, for me at least, that's the best way to have a childhood
Yeah.
and grow up.
Oh well, you would have been allowed dirt blocks and fucking
Yeah.
like everything. You would have been allowed to just have rain.
It was awesome, and there's no neighbours, so you can just wreak havoc. It's great. It's great.
I mean, I grew up here. This is my house that I grew up in. So it was pretty, I don't know, good, but not fun like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you pushy, that's about the only cool thing I really had. Just cruising around the streets, catching up to mischiefs, jumping random shit. That was my childhood in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Coming home with like new brakes and grazes every day, getting in trouble. That's all I really got up to. But man, I invited you on today. You contacted me through the DMs and you wanted to congratulate me on the potty. And man, it's humbling, man. I've had a lot of people say stuff. It's I say it every time, but it really is something. I don't know. It's motivation. It's pushing the juices to go even harder. And as soon as you sent that text, I was like, because I wanted to text you out of just because I wrote down a list of people that I'd wanted on there. Your name was on there, and I was like, I want to text this kid, but I don't know. I must have put it out in the universe, and the universe delivered. So I said, fuck it. And then I just sent that text, and you were like, any day, any time. I was like, sweet, run it up, man. So I want to get into you. What makes you tick? What makes you do you? So basically, the English ain't running too well, but basically, what's your background? Like, what's your, what mental health issues have you suffered from, if you're comfortable with talking about them? And can you give us some periods in time where have suffered from stuff and stuff that you can remember? Is there like something impactful as early childhood, or did it all kind of evolve once you hit the adolescence into the teenage years, or what? What's your story, man?
Yeah, so I've been pretty heavily involved in sport most of my life.
Soccer boy.
Yeah, soccer.
Yeah.
I think I started playing soccer when I was 7.
Yep.
So
Who
I played
for?
Cap Coast. I started off at.
Yep.
And then I started playing for Nimbra, 2017.
Yep.
And come, I think it was halfway through 2018.
Yep.
Playing a game at Cat Coast, ironically. I did something to my knee.
Yeah, ACL or something, or
Yeah, so at the time it sort of like hyperextended it.
Yep.
And it was really painful. I sort of jogged it off, but it just didn't feel right.
didn't go away.
Yeah.
What position did you play as well? Get into that as well. What?
I was attacked, so I sort of
Yep.
striker or winger, sort of.
See, all I
So-
know is there's a goalie. I'm bad, eh? I've played FIFA. There's a goalie, and strikers like Messi and Ronaldo, isn't it?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I really know. And there's people that stand out back and just try and defend it.
Pretty much.
So
yeah.
you were the man, the myth, the one that was kicking the goals.
I was trying to, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You did that. What happened after that?
So I think it was the week afterwards. My knee was feeling a bit better, so I was like, I'll get back into it. Game down in Gladstone, and same thing happened, but it was worse.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't right. Something's going on here. My knee hasn't done this before.
Yep.
So went and got an MRI scan. Saw the doc, and I'd torn my ACL completely.
So you had completely torn the ACL. So throughout that week, I've never done I've had my fair hand of injuries, but I've never done an ACL, thankfully. Was it like you tear it? Was it painful throughout the week, like during school and all that? Like, did you actually? Oh, you would have been in school, yeah, 2018. Was it painful throughout that week, or did you kind of just put it off to a bit of a bump or something?
So yeah, initially it really hurt, but the pain sort of faded away.
Yeah, right.
Which was, that's why I didn't really worry about it. Didn't think it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And then when it came back, I was like, something's going on.
So in that 2018 year, was there anything like evolving for you? Like I knew of Brock was flash at footy as well. Ben was real flash at footy. Was there was there rep hopes for you? Like, had you played rep before? Were you getting poached by anyone? Was there any like opportunity for you to keep going further with the game, or?
I've played rep a few times before, but I didn't really see soccer as a future that I really thought.
You just enjoyed it.
I just enjoyed playing it pretty much.
Yep. So, I don't know, man. Once that, I've had a couple of them injuries before, like, I've never done the ACL, like I said, but I've had a lot of ligaments before, broken bones, and it just sucks, man. Like, you feel like you're good. You can feel that pain, but you sit there and the doctor turns around and tells you you're out for a long time. What's that feeling? Like, what, do you remember it? How did it kind of hit you?
Yeah, so the doctor sort of sat me down. He said, look, mate, this this is actually the worst for someone your age. Is the worst injury.
Oh fuck.
To a knee and to your ACL and meniscus. I've personally seen.
Oh, so you didn't fuck around. You did the job, like you
Yeah, I did a proper job.
knocked it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I was like, sort of just processing this.
Yeah, right. Did he Did he say you're not playing again, or that was not like you could obviously recover from it?
So he said basically, it does naturally heal. But surgery is the best option.
Yep.
So yeah, I went and had surgery. I was on crutches for 3-4 months,
Yeah, I remember that.
limping around.
Cruising in that bloody doohickey looking thing, that big, that extender, whatever it was, to make sure it didn't move.
Yep.
I've had a couple of people with ACL injuries. Did you struggle sleeping at night? Because obviously you're turning in your sleep, you're not doing your own thing. After that surgery, were you going to roll over and you'd extend your knee or try and jam your knee and that pain would just wake you up?
But yeah. It was real difficult.
Yeah.
Sleeping. Yeah, it was tough.
Shit. Obviously that's impacting mentally. That's what, year 12 as well?
Yeah, well, now I think about it, I think it might have been 2019.
Oh, so out of school?
Out of school.
That was out of school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, soccer was a big...
I've got bad memories, man. I can't remember shit.
Yeah. Soccer was a big part of my life at the time. And after surgery, the doctor said, knee will be good, but not as good as it was.
Yeah.
So, although I wasn't thinking that soccer was going to be, I don't think I was going to be a professional athlete, but...
No, but there's still boys going around today that are in their 40s, aren't they? Like, they still play. Like, it's still a recreational sport.
Yeah, that's it.
You obviously wanted to have that opportunity to keep playing when you were an old fella as well.
Yeah, and I just sort of witnessed that, sort of fade away. Yeah, that was pretty painful for me at the time. Yep. Especially in the first few weeks, 6 weeks or something, before I could really put any weight on it.
Well, you would have been bedbound for at least a week and a bit.
Yeah.
Easily locked away.
Exactly, yeah.
So was that before the parents had left, or are you still with the parents at that time, or?
Yeah, still with mum and dad.
Yep.
So they were really helpful. Did pretty much everything for me.
Oh, well, they would have been the emotional support, the rock that you could have leaned on.
Exactly.
Were you in that relationship that you're currently in at that time? Was that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's 2 outlets for you to be able to express your emotions.
Mm.
Did you? Were you expressing your emotions, or were you kind of trying to?
I think to some degree I did.
Yep.
Looking back, probably not as much as I could have.
Yeah.
Or I should have.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just an interesting time in my life that, I just saw my future change.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yep.
And pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one day you're running around kicking balls, and then the next day you're getting your little leg cut open and spliced with, and laying in a bed and basically being told you can't do jack shit for 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So over that time, you obviously had rehabilitation. You obviously did the right protocols to get the knee back to good. Have you played soccer since?
I haven't. No. I haven't been back. I've been in 2 minds. I miss it to some degree, but at the same time, I don't want to risk
doing it again.
Exactly, doing it again,
because
that's having to go through that process.
That's
again.
That's one thing you see with a lot of athletes. Once they do one, ACL in the arm or in the shoulder or in the knee, it's kind of a reoccurring issue that always plagues them for the rest of their life. So I guess if there's the way that I approach it, that's why I didn't play. That's why I stopped playing footy altogether. Like if I didn't see a benefit from the sport, like in a way, the way that my mom was thinking is if I wasn't going to go play for the Broncos, you know what I mean? If I'm not playing for the Broncos, there's no point. Like I may as well just find something else that I enjoy. Hence why I got into boxing and Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu and fighting. That's why I really got into those sports, because it's obviously a lot less opportunities to kill yourself. Because you look at rugby and even soccer, people do say soccer's bloody, a bit soft, but
soft, yeah.
they go fucking hard. But look, a missed tackle and you get a whole whole man behind that energy straight into your leg, like you can snap legs and break ankles.
Yeah, it can hurt.
I mean, I've never done it before. I've never played soccer, but yeah, even with rugby, it shit can happen. So with that happening, was that like looking back at it now? Is that some of the darkest points in time that you've experienced, or?
I think in recent memory that was pretty tough for me.
Yep.
Lots of mates helped me out. They came around and visited.
Yep.
Obviously, I couldn't do a whole lot for the first few months.
Yeah.
So I was pretty
down.
feeling pretty alone at home. Yeah.
Shit. Like, I don't know. What were the go-tos? Netflix?
It's pretty much.
Yeah. What's
Pretty
the show? What's the go-to? What are you watching?
I was a Brooklyn Nine.
Yeah.
Nine
Can't get
fan.
into that.
You can't.
Nah, bro. I don't know. I just either The Office, Peaky Blinders, or Vikings, Sopranos. That's it. That's my go. Oh, How I Met Your Mother.
It's a classic.
Every year I rewatch it, the whole thing. Like I'll binge it, the whole thing, every year. It's like a
Wow.
ritual around Easter.
It's impressive.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just a good feel-good show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I don't know. I like I said, I haven't really been out for that long of time. Like, I haven't been with my, like, I broke a leg, but I was 4 weeks and I told them to take it off and I started walking again. Everything else has only been really hand injuries. So I really don't know how I'd feel with being locked up for, not being locked up, but being, restricted for 3+ months and being told, look, take care or something bad can happen. So to this day, is it feeling good, or sometimes you can feel a bit of iffies or no's, or?
Yeah. So sometimes it still clicks. And it's a bit funny. It feels good, but not as strong as it was. It's not normal.
Yeah, you can feel that, but
I can feel it. I'm not sure if it's mental.
yeah, that's what a lot of people say, eh? Like, because the mind's obviously a strong thing. The mind is a very, very strong tool. And I mean, to overcome that type of thing, it would take you a fair while. I feel like it'd take years. You might be 25 and one day you think, oh, she's back to normal, 100%, bulletproof.
Yeah.
But you never know. So, feeding off that emotions and feeding off that point in time in life, was there anything else that you can link back going through school, anything like that? Was there some hardships that you did experience, but obviously not to that degree, or different ways?
Yeah. So just before we go on to that,
Yeah.
During that time, I think it was really helpful, because it was a physical injury.
Yep.
I still had that notion that I was going to recover from it.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of time before I felt like me again.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that was something that sort of helped me out during that time.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. I can completely understand that. Like when I punched that wall and I broke that hand in bloody year 11, yeah, she was clocked up for like probably a month. It was like that, and back then I was jamming games hard. That's when I was that little COD pro.
Yeah.
And, I was stuck, man. All I could move it about that much. And I remember just thinking, oh, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I got nothing. Like, but the thought of time and the thought of just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to eventually one day have it cut off was actually a really good goal to work towards. And that obviously drove me into other fields and it drove me into other things. So that's actually a good question. So when you did the injury, was there any new hobbies that came up?
Not really. I did. So that was my gap year I took.
Yep.
I had a year between school and starting university.
Yep.
And I don't think there was any new hobbies that came up, to be honest.
Just the same old.
Just the same old stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just vegged out with TV and YouTube and just...
what'd you go to on YouTube? You into much game and stuff, or?
No, I'm not much of a gamer.
Yeah?
Just comedy stuff on YouTube, to be honest.
I watch a fair bit of that, man.
Yeah.
I go down a rabbit hole pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I get pretty bad with comedy. Like
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz.
Yeah, they're great guys.
They're comedians,
I
man.
love Kevin Hart and Ricky Gervais.
Yep.
Awesome.
His comedy is just so blunt.
It's great.
It's just so
Great.
Have you heard is it Eddie Griffin? Yeah, I think it's Eddie Griffin. He's like an old school. He's the same age as Joe Rogan, but a lot of his specials were from when he was a young fella. like 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
Oh, mate. Back when comedy could actually, you know, not get cancelled, not have cancel culture behind it.
Yeah.
This man just ripped people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat anything he says, but if you want to have a listen,
Yeah.
go have a listen one day.
Yeah.
I just piss myself laughing sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's seriously, it's seriously impactful to think about. Like not such a little thing, but one thing can change that whole trajectory that you're on. Like you're running this way, injury happens, you go left field and you go that complete other way. So after that injury healed itself, and once you got that cast off, or not the cast, the brace off, what was the thinking behind it? Like you got it off, what was the feeling?
It was the mindset of I don't want this to happen again.
Yep.
So it was almost
Preventative.
prevent at all costs.
Yep.
So even when it was off, it still hadn't completely healed.
You still had
It's
rehabilitation and all
pretty
that
much,
stuff.
yeah. So physio, and it was 12 months, they said, before I could engage in fully physical activity again.
Yeah.
So I was still being real careful with it, and just really taking it easy.
Yeah, shit. Thank God I haven't done that, eh? That's bloody. That's like, yeah, I've done ankles, but I've never done ACLs.
Yeah, it's not great.
No,
It's not great.
don't sound good either. Like,
No.
I'll congratulate you on coming through it. So yeah, looping back to that question that I had before with growing up as a young fella, you obviously had mum and dad, so you had that kind of typical Aussie bring up, like, you know, out on a bit of a property, bit of land.
Yeah.
Is there any? What I always ask someone, is there any times that you're aware of anyone's mental health struggles, even your father, something like that, or were you just too young to be able to see anything like that?
Yeah. So now, at the time, I was completely oblivious to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing he was good at hiding it as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Typical bloke.
100%. Smack a beer and just go to sleep.
Yeah,
You'll
I'm
be
right.
right.
Yeah, I'm right, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back though, in being off a farm, obviously, where, and with Dad's industry, where
Was that their livelihood at that point, the farm? Like that was their sole income, or?
so Dad had his business as well.
Yep.
He did cattle IVF.
Yep.
So it's all land based, off the country stuff.
Yep.
So obviously weather events have big impacts on that.
Yep.
And as you probably know, the last 15 years have been pretty rough for farmers.
Up and down and left and right.
Up and down, yeah, it's been pretty tough.
10 years with no rain, and then we had that year part where everything was flooding and everyone had too much rain, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. So it was a real struggle. It was a real struggle, and the business just wasn't as doing as well as Dad had hoped it to go.
Yeah.
And it just got to a stage where, this is as of last year.
Yeah.
He realised that, although this is my dream, it's not going to work at this time.
Put it on the back burner.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
So they shipped off to Fiji.
Yep.
Really tropical place there, rains all the time.
Yeah, plenty of cows getting around there.
Plenty of grass, yeah, exactly. So no worries over there.
So is that obviously it is a pretty big industry, but it is big over there. So there is plenty and plentiful opportunities for him to succeed over there in his field of work.
Yeah. So there's a lot of lots of cattle over there.
Yeah.
But his goals just sort of improve the genetics of the animals over there.
Yep.
So lots of them, they might not produce the meat quantity or milk quantity that.
So he's down to the nitty gritty, like that. Like his obviously that's degrees upon degrees to be able to achieve what he's doing and do what he's doing, isn't it?
Well, funnily enough, he only has a bachelor in business.
Yeah, right.
So I think a lot of it's coming from knowing the right people.
Surround yourself with smart people and you'll become smart yourself.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're living it up in Fiji.
Shit, yeah. Because the dollar cost over there is ridiculous compared to Australia.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Like they'd have some pretty good life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you obviously had a strong connection with your father growing up. Still carry that to this day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a role model that I really look up to.
Yeah.
I try to embody lots of characteristics.
Morals that he runs in. Yeah.
Morals, yeah, pretty much.
So was he like that typical old Australian bloke that you know, or did your parents have a different kind of upbringing when you were a young fella? What was your kind of upbringing when you look back at it?
I think he's a typical bloke off
Yeah.
the land, to be honest.
Old school country man.
Loves a beer, loves his steak.
Yeah.
John
Farming.
pretty much loves his
Cruiser.
country music.
Cruiser.
No cruiser,
Oh.
couldn't afford one of those.
What do you run with?
He had a Hilux,
Same
so
shit.
just about the same thing.
Yeah, same thing, different show. What about mum? How does mum, when you look back at her now, what does she resonate to you? What characteristics do you really think she's put forth in you?
Mum was the glue, as mums are.
100%, as most women are. Yeah,
Yeah, so she was stay-home mum. She held everything together.
Yep.
Held the fort together.
cleaned everything, got all the
Cleaned,
washing.
cooked,
Yeah,
sorted us out for school.
Yep.
She packed my lunch all the way through school up to year 12.
oh yeah,
It was fantastic. No, but she was great.
yeah,
Caring, loving,
Yep.
Kind, friendly,
and strict.
and strict.
Like
Not strict enough.
yeah, as you want. Yeah, that's something that I've always. Obviously, I grew up like just me and mum. Never had dad really, but I had my grandparents as my parents when I grew up. So that was my my kind of upbringing was like even more old school. So I was brought up to be like I was just brought up to be a gentleman basically. That's what my pop instilled in me was the old school ways. Like, open the door, close the door.
Yeah,
If she's
that's it.
cold, take the shirt off, give it to her, which I really do respect to this day. I love it. But I can I can't relate, but I can kind of see my mother grew up as like a 2-man system, so like a mother and a father in one. And that's in places I can kind of see where she tried as well, but then in other places I can kind of see where she didn't get so far as well.
Yeah.
But growing up, you had the brother as well, no other siblings?
No, just my brother.
Yep.
He was 3 years younger than me.
Yep.
So even though there's a bit of an age gap, we got on really well.
Yeah.
Still do.
Yeah, 3 years ain't too much, yeah.
No. So yeah, we get on real well. We're best mates. Yeah.
Maybe, 18 now, isn't he?
In March.
Oh, yeah.
So just about.
Take him out to the clubs or what?
Pretty much, yeah.
In old Rocky.
That's it.
The old
That's it.
Zodes of the goat. I mean, I don't know. I won't even get into that. I don't go out, man. I choose not to. There's no point. I mean, pub's alright, but like, no point going to the goat.
Yeah, I like going to the pub with some mates, but yeah, going out's it's a hassle.
Oh, it's just too many people swinging jaws, man. You got to step over the place. But oh shit, that's just funny to think about. So we'll tie back. We're going to year 8, right? We evolve. We're at a 17-person primary school, like 17 kids in the grade. What was it like coming out of that culture as a young fella? Like, all you know is riding around motorbikes and just living up life on that farm. What was it like running into a mace and seeing how many is it? Like 2,000 kids or something? And
It was a
big smoke, like
big shock factor.
Yeah.
I remember initially thinking, how am I going to remember everyone's name?
Yeah.
Obviously now I remember everyone's name in the school in a 2,000 plus student school.
I don't remember everyone's name in the grade.
Exactly.
I struggle with that.
Yeah. No, it was a big shock factor. I did have a few mates that came from primary school
Yeah.
till May, so it really helped me out.
So in that first year of year 8, you stuck with that clan? That was your little group, or?
Yeah, we found a few more mates, just in our shoot classes.
Yep.
But yeah, I still clung to those primary school mates.
And to this day, you still good with them, or?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Stuff happens, life happens.
Yeah.
People drift apart.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, a lot of us still good mates.
Your clan, your clan of boys now is like Flynn, eh?
Yeah.
Angus,
that lot.
Flynn,
Yeah.
all them mischievous boys.
Yeah.
Max Watmore,
That's the one.
he coming to work today.
There
Yeah, I
you go.
staunched him. He's got that filthy mullet.
That was disgusting.
I love it. It's so good. He was standing there buying something. I just walked straight up behind him. I was like, "There you go, mate." He's like freaking out because I had that mask on. Didn't know who I was for a second. Pulled it down. He's like, "Oh," but that mask's just beautiful, man.
Oh.
The missus said she hated it, but
Yeah, she's not a fan. She's not a fan.
I guess no woman is a fan of that filthy
No.
thing.
No.
But anyway, man, evolving through those years, was there anything impactful that really happened to you? Like, I mean, I can look back at mine and go, you know, broken bone, or heartbreak. Look, was there anything really impactful that you can see about going through the years of Emmaus, or?
As a kid, I think there was a fair bit of pressure on me from mum and dad to do well in school.
Yep. Well, were you a smart kid in primary school?
Yeah, I was a smart kid in primary school.
Yeah.
So yeah, that pressure carried over into high school.
Yep.
And in being high school, it was naturally more pressure.
Yeah.
You know, the consensus was that these are the years that the rest of your life is based on.
They do drill that into you, eh?
Which it's not true.
No,
It's not true at all.
Not even close. That's one thing that I'm sitting here as a 21-year-old male, and I still look back like, oh, you know me, man. I did absolutely nothing. I did all the veggie subjects I could, and I'm sitting here as a 21-year-old male. I'm not successful, but I definitely don't feel like I'm disadvantaged in any way. I still feel like I can achieve anything I want to. So I feel like what they used to drill into us was kind of just not right. It was just complete bull.
Yeah, it's the old school mentality, you know.
Yeah.
You go to school,
Yeah.
good grades, you go to uni, you get your degree, you work in that job for the next 50 years of your life, you retire, you die.
And you get 20 years, or 10 years to live, basically.
Pretty much.
I ain't doing that.
It's not much of a life, is it?
No, yeah, man. I've thought about this a fair few times. Like, I mean, I'm grateful for what I have and how I've been raised. And I mean, that's exactly how my grandmother and my pop built this house. Like, they built this back in, I think it was 75, this house got built. Before there was a Macca's, this was all a dirt road. So, like, they just worked. Pop was on the railway, dropped out of school in year 3. Nan was an accountant over at the council, you know what I mean? Proper old school. And they built it from nothing to something. And I mean, Pop retired and probably, I think he was 65 when he retired. And Nan retired when she was around that age as well. But you only get a good 5 years, maybe, if that. And then the rest you're sitting in a chair and you're half rooted and you can't really
Yep, you're just too old to enjoy it.
do what you wanted to dream.
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone out there in today's culture, especially at our age, people don't want to do that.
No, people have realised that,
Yeah.
you know, the last 100 years, more maybe, have been that repetitive. And, you know, that's not something that, you know, I want to do.
No.
You know, you see rich and famous people. Bill Gates, I think, dropped out of school in year 10.
Yeah.
And he's like the third richest bloke in the world.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, there's a huge list.
Basically, almost every wealthy man
Yeah.
didn't have the uprighted or didn't finish that education or excel in the education that they needed to. I feel like it's not about, once again, it's not about what you learn, it's about who you know. That's one thing that I really preach now, is you got to surround yourself with a core group of people that are going to put you forward and also them forward at the same time. You put a good egg with a bad egg, what happens? It goes bad.
Yeah.
Put a good egg with a good egg, what happens?
Yeah.
It stays good and you get to eat it.
Yeah.
So that's a mentality that I've really carried now. Hence why, you know, I bottle flipped with everyone I used to cruise around with back in the day, and it's kind of enlightening and it's kind of insightful when you kind of stop doing all the bad things and all the bad people to start dropping off like flies.
Yep.
And you kind of really do see the people that, the pearls that shine out of the dust. You kind of really see the people that want to stick there and see you succeed.
The ones that really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to have a big group, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
So what kind of plans do you put in place? Like, what's your pipe dream goal? What's the dream that you seriously want? What's that one that you sit there and go, that's me, no matter how large it is?
Yeah, so I'm in my third year university at the moment. I'm studying psychology. So I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with that.
Yep.
Once I've got it. But I've always had a dream that I want to start my own business.
Anything or just entrepreneur?
I want to help people.
Yep.
I'm not sure in which way yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll come to me
Eventually.
when the time's right. But I really want to be able to help people, and I want to be able to try and make this world a better place.
that's exactly why I started everything I did.
Mm.
That was literally my thinking behind everything. I don't know. One day I just felt the need to help people. I just woke up and I was like, shit, you know what I mean? I gotta leave the world a better place than I came in it. That's my big thing.
Mm.
And that's the goal, hence why we're sitting here chit chatting and
Yep.
paddy whacking, man. Like I really feel like especially in today's time, like what we're in 2022 now, actually. We're in 2022. I feel like with what we have at our fingertips at just at birth, like what we have and the opportunities that we can do, I feel like we could change the world even more. We can be an even more of an impact than the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, the Warren Buffetts.
Yep.
Just the technology that we have at our fingertips. I seriously think we could change the world for a better place. It's just get the ball rolling is the main thing.
That's it. The world's changed so quickly in the last 20 years. Well, the internet was invented in the 90s,
Yeah.
and less than 30 years later,
We have TikTok.
unfortunately, we have TikTok.
Do you use TikTok?
I do not have TikTok.
You don't.
Do not.
Have you ever used it?
I downloaded it ironically
Yeah.
and deleted it
Yeah.
a few days later.
It's fucking, it's a trap.
I know.
I've gotten into it before. Oh,
It's a spiral.
I mean, I wasted like 5 hours one night. Like one night I was sitting there and I was just scrolling. And the next minute it was like 3 a.m. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's
Trying
exactly
to-
why I had deleted it.
China did a good job with this, man. I was like, fuck that, delete. So, I mean, I don't really... The only media I consume now is basically a lot of podcasts. And, I mean, I'm working so hard that I don't really have time to consume too much media.
Mm.
I just try and pick and choose the good ones that I consume. I mean, if you can call Joe Rogan good.
I love Joe. I'm a
He's-
big fan.
Yeah, he's very controversial. A lot of people don't like the man anymore.
I know. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
I really like him. I resonate with a lot of his views and opinions.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and lots of the interviews he's had, really interesting, really insightful.
Is there a couple off the top of your head that you really favoured yourself, like that you liked, or?
Yeah, so the Kevin Hart ones.
Yep.
I think he had 2.
Yeah.
They're really inspirational.
Especially after his accident that he suffered from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And how he bounced back.
Mm.
Just really inspirational how a bloke came from poverty
Mm.
and a pretty rough upbringing
Mm.
to become one of the most successful, I would say one of the most successful comedians and
Yeah.
actors.
Well, he's jacked.
Yeah.
He's like 5'2" and he's jacked.
Yeah.
He's ripped.
Yep.
Like he is a physical beast. What do I see that man do? I mean, I did really enjoy his 2 podcasts. My favourite, hands down, would probably have to be Joey Diaz.
Yep.
I've listened to every single one of them. Even one that came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I've listened to every single one at least like 5 times.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know. I just really resonate with him. He's fat, like, you know what I mean? Like he's fat.
Yeah.
Just the shit he's done. I'm like, yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the story that he held was actually really interesting.
Mm.
And just his perspective, like, he just don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
he's real set in his ways, and his ways are his ways.
Yeah.
And I like how no one can bend him. Like, it's him.
Yep.
Same with Joe. Like, Joe has an opinion. That's his opinion. He doesn't care what it's not that he doesn't care what your opinion is, but you're not going to impact his opinion. That's what I really like about him.
Mm.
I mean, sometimes he can be an idiot.
He's yeah. He can be. He's funny though. I like him.
Do you follow much of his stand up, like comedy shit, or?
I listened to a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Haven't watched a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I still like it.
I mean, my favorite thing is how he talks. Have you seen the one about how he's talking about he was cooked as hell on a yacht, and there's dolphins next to the boat.
I have not.
Oh mate, just watch it, bro. He's like I'm high as fuck. There's dolphins next to me, and then he's like, I start talking to the dolphins, and the dolphins start talking to me. But just the way he words it and says it, I just start cracking up.
Yeah.
Like, you know how he says shit.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm just like, what is this man on about? But I have felt like that before.
Mm.
What a tangent.
Yep.
So man, I really want to touch on the subject of like men's mental health.
Mm.
When we say those words, what does it kind of resonate with you? What do you kind of see in men's mental health in 2020?
For me,
2022.
For me, I think a lot of blokes get scared when they hear that.
Yep.
And it is this notion that we have to be these strong, dependable, bulletproof people
Mm-hmm.
that everyone looks up to, and we can't ever show weakness because if we do,
The class as a pussy, basically.
we're not a man.
Yeah. Has that ever been enforced on you? Have you ever felt like that before?
Every now and again, I think
Yep.
there's been some times where you might be upset. They go, "Oh, be a man.
Yeah, toughen up.
Men don't cry."
Yep.
Everyone's heard that.
Yeah, I bawled my eyes out like a 12-year-old girl, mate. I've done it before.
Yeah,
I've been there before.
yeah.
But with you, have you? Is there some parts, like obviously we talked about that the ACL injury, but has there been parts for you where you've really looked back at now that you can look back at and really understand that I wasn't in a good spot there, but I just tried to keep chugging on and just not think about it and try and push it away and just box it?
Yeah. So the end of school, just with studying, and I was still in that mindset, this is going to set me up for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And I really thought that at the time.
Yep.
So I thought, this is it, really.
Yeah.
And it was just hard work, and it was just grinding, studying and school. I didn't have a job, luckily. I don't think I would have been able to.
That would have been pretty hard to throw it into the mix.
Yeah.
What was it? ATAR?
I think we're still OP.
OP. Oh, yeah, it
OP.
was, yeah. Like I said, veggie
It's all-
subjects. So, was there a number that you had to hit? What was your goal number that you wanted to hit?
I wanted to be under 10.
And what'd you get?
I got a 9,
So you got under
so I
10.
got under 10, so I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
I only did a 15 for my degree.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that validation in yourself.
Yeah.
You kind of
Yeah.
tell yourself, like, shit, yeah, look at me. Like, I'm able to actually achieve these things.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to, prove to myself
Yep.
that I was good enough.
Yeah.
Looking back, I think I still had more to give.
Yeah?
I really didn't push myself as hard as I could have.
But do you feel like you still pushed yourself too hard?
I'm not sure.
Yeah?
I think I still had more to give.
Yep.
I think there was a big part, especially in year 12 where being popular, and I think it's lots of people, being popular becomes more important than focusing.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like did you feel that yourself? Like, was that a thought in your mind?
That was a thought in my head, yeah. I think there's almost this culture that it's uncool to try hard.
Yeah, I do feel that, yeah. Or it's I don't know. I was kind of down the route of like, not cool. It's not cool to not try, but I just didn't give a shit. That was my attitude and my thinking behind a lot of it. Like, I was real I don't know. I just had demons and I just didn't give a shit. Like, that's why I just sat in school and just did not give a rat's ass. I mean, I passed year 12. I don't know. I passed everything with at least B's or C's, but I did not try one bit. Just because I did all the veggie stuff and it was just too easy for me to be able to finish it, really. I kind of carried my mentality behind it was, you'd see the popular kids, you'd see the unpopular kids, but you'd obviously have the different cliques, the footy boys, the nerds, the pretty girls, all those groups of people. I didn't really give a rat's ass, man. I don't know. Like, even with you, I'd see you, I'd smile at you. If there was ever an opportunity, I'd talk to you. I didn't care who you were, what you looked like. I'd still shake your hand and say what's happening. That was kind of my thinking behind it.
Yeah.
We're all in it together, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's I just really don't quite understand this culture of it being, not cool to try hard.
Yeah.
The nerds, the kids that are smart and do really well in school
Yeah.
are often not the popular kids.
No, not even close.
Not at all.
I mean, Brock Duffy, he was a smart cookie.
He was smart. He was pretty popular too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the man could kick a ball and he was smart as hell.
Yeah, he's an outlier.
Yeah, he is the outlaw. I remember because I think he was year 10 in my shooting year 10, and that's where it really stood out to me. Like, I don't know, he was juggling both. Like, he was talking to all the popular kids and smashing schoolwork, but then turn around on the weekend, he was still playing soccer as well. So that was one person that really stood out to me. That was kind of that all-round essence of a being. But they come few and far between, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's tough to juggle everything, you know.
Yeah.
People have got busy lives. It's tough to juggle. It's tough to juggle sport and a job and studying and relationships.
So, did you have many relationships during high school, or were you kind of a single Pringle?
I was a single Pringle.
You didn't have one?
Not have one.
Really? Was that just you weren't looking? You were just doing your own thing, fly like a butterfly, or
yes and no.
you just didn't really want it at the same time?
I don't think I was ready for a relationship.
Smart man.
And I'm happy now that I didn't.
Yeah, you're very smart actually.
It helped me focus on schoolwork.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you had a bird as well, trying to juggle that with trying to get your OP as well, it would have been pretty hard. I was polar opposite.
Yeah. Yep.
Polar opposite, man. I only had 2 relationships, but I was still polar opposite. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, really, now to sit down and talk about like 2 kind of different spectrums completely. Like, you were a kid that really knuckled down and tried hard, and you know, tried to become successful through school, and I was completely opposite. I just played footy and went to school because I had to.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now, I really think I could have gave a lot more, actually. Like, it links back to that mental health side of things. Because obviously I wasn't in, you know, the best situation in life. I'd put myself at some pretty big disadvantages. But I feel like with the right guidance, I could have done a lot better. And I knew I could have done a lot better. But I kind of loop it back to the way the schooling curriculum kind of gets made as well. That was kind of a big turn off to me as well. Like, I mean, they did try, don't get me wrong, but they didn't try in ways that would engage me, if you know what I mean. Because as a, I don't know, 15, 16, 17-year-old boy, it's kind of, you don't really want to do a lot of the subjects that they ask you to do, but you kind of have to.
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, school's not for everyone.
Oh, no, not even close.
You got people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Get into a classroom, all learning the same thing.
Yeah.
Expected to learn at the same pace.
With one teacher, usually with one teacher.
With one teacher teaching same thing to 30 kids.
Yeah, oh, well, 30 kids, but that same class 4 other times throughout that week.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, I kind of look back at it now, and I compare the way schooling is developed. I compare it to, like, it's been the same since the turn of the century when you think about it. And when you look into it, they based the classroom off a workstation. So, like, if you look at the old Industrial Revolution, there's a line. People get in that line. People have that task to do at the same pace, at the same rate. They have a due date when it needs to be done. You clock on and clock off at this time. You eat at this time and leave at this time. And you expect to do the same thing day in and day out. Obviously, obviously like that compared to school, it can be compared, but obviously it's not the exact same. But when you look into it, it is still linked, and it still is the way of a workforce line, which I just think about now, and I think it's not the way to teach kids, especially in today's time. It's definitely not the way that you can approach by teaching kids.
No, so we've been saying, you know, that whole mentality shift from, you know, the grades I get at school are going to shape my whole life.
Yeah.
And obviously the way school was taught and still is taught is to ready you for those jobs.
Yeah.
But the way everything society is changing so quickly, the school curriculums and the way things being taught haven't kept up.
They're still staying in that back time. Like man, I wish they taught me how to do tax.
Exactly.
I'm in my first year at high school. It's like tax time. I'm like, what the fuck's tax? Like, I had the premise of what tax was, but you know what I mean? Where do I go to tax? Where can I get tax? How do I know how much I should get paid off tax, or a rough estimate? Just living, basically, like basic things like that. Like, I mean, coming out of high school, learning even the social skills. Sometimes I feel like with some certain people really struggle. Like, I mean, I was a pretty out there person. I didn't care what you look like. I talked to you. But looking back now, if they implement a lot of social aspects and like try and break that barrier of having all the popular kids,
Mm.
and having these different diversities of groups. I really feel like that could be a big driving point as well, and that could really help break the stigma that we followed, that you are the popular kid, and you're the not popular kid, and you're that footy boy, and you're that soccer kid.
Yep.
Because I carried it. I thought all the soccer boys were bloody,
Soft.
I was like, that's soccer, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's gay, Like, I'd always say it. But looking back at it now, that's you. It's your sport.
Mm.
You picked it because you like it.
Yeah.
I play footy because I like it.
Exactly.
Like, that's the motivation and the goal behind it. So I really feel like they should start implementing and teaching us to just, I don't know, it sounds hippie, but respect one another and just actually care. Because really looking at school, they did kind of build diversities as well. Like, school kind of did, in a way, that it kind of does structure it to have these different groups and these different cliques of people. I don't know why I pressed that. I'll move that away. But yeah, I don't know. It's just my thoughts behind it.
Yeah, it's school's one of the very few things that have changed, I think.
Yep.
In a really fast-moving culture.
Yeah.
And I think if there's not a big reform, then it might be left behind. It might sort of almost become obsolete.
Yep. Well, shit, man. Have you seen all the stuff that's happening? The metaverse, like, I mean, it is a funny thing to laugh about now, but like, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. Like, we're literally developing something where we can live digitally and almost learn digitally. I feel like the whole physical side of school will eventually just become obsolete, and you will just learn at home.
Yeah. So, I'm actually I quite into the crypto.
Same. I love it.
I really like it, but this metaverse scares me.
Scares you in what way?
I think social media really changed society in the way people interact.
No, yeah.
And I think the metaverse might be another social media impactful thing that affects the way everything operates.
Well, it is Internet 3.0 when you think about it. Like, it's the new version of the internet. Like, we had Internet 1, and now we're on Internet 2. And I feel like NFTs and crypto is that Internet 3, and it's spanning into that space. Because, I mean, crypto treats me nice. I like crypto. It's good money. There's some good ways to earn some coin off it. But I feel like with this NFT space, it's still so young that we just kind of think it's a digital JPEG that's been sold. But I feel like with what's about to happen and where it's about to go, I think it will change how culture and society is structured completely and on all aspects. I feel like eventually one day we'll be sitting there and we'll be like in our 40s or 50s, and our kids will be saying these things that we have no idea, like have no clue about, like our parents are with what we're doing right now. And I just feel like it's going to, like you said, it's just going to be that defining thing that changes culture completely, and it moves us into that next step in evolution and civilization.
I think it's scary. I think with social media, I personally think social media has had a really big impact on mental health and mental illnesses
100%.
as a whole.
100%.
People don't have to go out and socialise. They can socialise through their phones.
Yep.
Which is not giving your brain the same impact. You're not getting the same results from having a genuine conversation with a mate. And I think it could just get worse with.
Yeah. Well, one thing I link back with social media and men's mental health. I said it yesterday. I've said it before as well. When you, like, even with a male, right? Like, obviously you're a part of, like, you're in the clique with a lot of people. You knew a lot of people, and so did I. But one thing that I feel like males struggle with is they feel alone a lot of the time, especially when they are alone in their rooms. Because that social media side of things is, I can pick up the phone and talk to you or call you, but a lot of males don't. And a lot of males have that drilled into them that they are that man, they are that strong person, they don't need to be able to reach out to people. And then you kind of backtail it back to how females are. They're able to post a photo, and a lot of them get instant gratification with multiple men liking it, or multiple men hitting them up, or multiple men swiping up on their Snapchat saying, hey, what are you doing? Or you're beautiful, or you're gorgeous. And I really feel like it's a struggle street with a lot of young men these days, where just one compliment from a female can make a month for them. Where yet a lot of females just have multiple compliments in a day. And I feel like that's a really big impactful thing with men's mental health. And I felt like I suffered from that as well when I was a young fella, because I obviously wasn't like a popular kid. So I'd post a photo back when Instagram it shows your likes now, but back when it showed your likes, you'd post that photo and you'd get like 32 people. And you're like, oh, only 32 people like this. Then you scroll through and you see one of the birds from school and they're sitting at 450. And you're like, holy shit, like, why is this? Why are all these people obviously engaging in hers and not engaging in mine? I feel like it is a corruption, and it can really lead to some dark places.
It's scary, yeah. You judge yourself for that. You think that person is better than you.
Yeah.
Because they get more likes on Instagram.
That kind of revolves that kind of feeds to that social hierarchy, and that kind of you're popular, you're a nerd, and you're unpopular kind of a field, you know what I mean? It kind of fuels that again, because I don't know, back in the day when we were in school, there were a lot of people that were getting like bulk likes on Instagram, I remember. And like a lot of people weren't, and a lot of people only really had their friends liking their posts, and I feel like for such young kids, because that's what you are at the end of the day. When you're still, even in high school, you're still a child. You're still a kid. You're not an adult yet. For a brain that's not developed, it's really hard to take that in and be able to process it. Because especially for a male man, because we're not developed until we're 30, basically. Like us sitting here right now, we're kind of at that middle mark. You know what I mean? We're still not fully developed as men. And I feel like back in the day, we're even more childish than we are now. And I feel like it really did feed into some negative things and spark some negative thoughts as well.
Yeah, like you say, it just creates those hierarchies.
Yeah.
And then you value someone else. Someone else appears to be valued by society more than you are.
Yeah.
And that creates those levels.
It's a vicious circle. But like you said, that's what kind of freaks me out about this metaverse. And that's what kind of freaks me out about Internet 3.0. I feel like if there's not a drastic change with how it is held and how it is created and how it is monetized, so like not money, how it is like viewed, I feel like it's just going to be a bigger void that people can fall into. And I feel like those popular people are going to get even more popular. And I feel like the people that aren't or don't feel as popular will just keep dropping off more and more and more, and more mental health will spark up more severe.
Yep.
That's one thing that I really think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be a big issue.
Yeah. I don't know. It's good that someone's on here actually fucking. Not a lot of people know about it. Like I try and bring it up a fair bit. Not a lot of people actually have researched and really looked into it.
Yeah.
Because it's in its infancy still. The metaverse right now is nothing basically.
Yeah.
There's Sandbox where you can purchase land. There's a couple of companies like that, but there's nothing really out there yet that's commercialized to the point where Instagram is and Facebook is and,
exactly.
and Twitter and Snapchat. But that's what the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Zuckerberg's trying to do.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
The lizard man. I don't know. We won't get into that. He's a lizard, but anyway. One thing I really wanted to ask, man, is are you a big reader? Obviously, do you get into a lot of books, or what's your go-tos?
Funnily enough, I've only just got back into reading.
Yep.
Probably the end of last year, maybe November.
Yep.
I started reading again. And they're sort of self-help books.
Yeah, right up my alley. Yeah.
And it's really, I think even in, it's been nearly 4 months, I've seen a shift in my personality.
Yep.
And the way that I see people.
Yeah.
And the conversations that I can have.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I want to continue to do.
what's your go-tos? Like, what's a book that you've read that really stands out to you, and you think people could read at home and actually help with them?
So the first one I read was The Slight Edge.
Yep.
Jeff Olson, fantastic book.
Haven't read it.
Would 100% recommend it.
Yep.
It talks about the different things you do every day, that don't appear to have an impact, but they do.
Yeah.
Like
Like making your bed,
exactly,
like brushing your teeth,
exactly.
like doing stuff properly.
Yeah,
Folding your washing.
Yeah.
Putting stuff away.
having a glass of water.
Yeah.
Having a can of Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Having an apple, having a Twinkie, or whatever that people eat. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's about those things compounding over your lifetime.
Yep.
And in 50 years, you get a can of Coke out of the fridge every time you're thirsty.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a big difference.
Or a beer.
Or a beer.
Yeah.
A big difference.
So, have you read that one there? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F?
I've not.
I
I've
really,
not.
I really
It's
recommend
It's
that.
in my list to read it.
That's 2.5 times I've read it. Yeah, like really good book. Not like the one you were talking about, but really an insight on the mental health and kind of the way that you're able to carry yourself and actually think about thoughts, because that's something that obviously links with your mental health completely, and how you perceive yourself basically. That's one thing that really resonated with me with that book. I mean, some go-tos for me are The Art of War. I really enjoyed that. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's kind of here and there, but if you have an imagination and you can implement it into your everyday life, it really does help. Jordan Peterson's one as well.
Love Jordan Peterson.
Oh mate, he's a goat.
He's a fantastic
100%.
psychologist. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm not smart enough for half the stuff he says, but I understand it. But like, he's a smart man, and I really enjoy a lot of his podcasts with Joe as well. Even Jocko as well. You watch him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of his podcasts with Jocko are really impactful as well, and really do help men's mental health. And the way he dives into it and kind of just explains it how it is, and just goes down to the chemical level on how it works.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's interesting with those figures, because they're often portrayed in like the wider society as controversial people.
Yeah.
Because they have these views that I think are really relevant and true.
100%.
But they just don't align with this narrative that's
Being built. Oh mate, don't even get me started. Don't even get me bloody started.
Yeah.
I mean, there's cancel culture. There's like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything that's gonna make people get that, but there's something there. Yeah, man. I can. There's a rabbit hole with all that.
No, it's okay. We don't have to touch on this. It's okay. I could talk for this for hours.
Oh mate, yeah. How's the weather? Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, man. Good man, very good man. I like his books, a lot of his lectures as well. I mean, I've always been interested in how the human mind works and how he understands and perceives the human mind. That's why I really resonate a lot with Jocko as well, because you can look at Jordan. He's such a like a thinking man. He uses his head, but then you look at Jocko and he uses his will.
Yep.
And he's a very willful person, very not spiritual, but very. This is what happens, and this is how it's going to happen, and this is what I'm going to do to get it. So I feel like as a young man, I'm 21, you're 20, I feel like they're really positive influences that we can that the men around us can really hold on to and use as tools. Because I mean, man, rewind a year ago, man, I was probably like 25 kilos heavier. I mean, like, just in not a good mindset, like really completely lost basically. I mean, I was working full time, but nothing positive was happening for me, and I was staying in that rut, and I was in that straight line of going nowhere fast.
Yep.
And it really took everything the whole world to shake for me to actually listen to these men and actually listen to what they've implemented into their lives for it to actually take place. Like, I mean, shit, man, I can't read. Like, I'm a really bad reader. but I still force myself to read. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I kind of I meditate, I journal, and I feel like they're really, really, really good steps to take to just get yourself out of that rut and get yourself out of that mental health.
Absolutely.
You yourself, are you journaling, or do you meditate, or are there forms that you take on, or?
Yes, that was actually something that that the Slide Edge talked about.
Yep.
It says, meditation and journaling is something that can really help, create mindfulness.
Yep.
And just sort of that introspective looking. You look sort of into yourself more.
Yeah.
So you can face these demons that you might have.
Yeah. That's something I felt they should teach in school.
Yeah.
Like really teach in school. That'd be a very helpful, impactful thing to be able to, that I wish I knew when I was 15 and 16. I mean, the only form of meditation I really knew back then was what was the principal's name? Beaton.
Yeah.
He was our religion teacher.
Really?
Yeah, man. In year 10. Yeah, he was our religion teacher in year 10, and he made us meditate 15 minutes, like at the start of the class. And I mean, I was like 16. I didn't listen to a word he said, and I just had earphones in my ears. But I really feel like it did, like looking back at it now, I really feel like it could have helped, because it really does bring you down to the perspective of it's you and you. And these are your demons.
Yeah.
And this is what can make you. Yeah. So what's in your arsenal? Like, what do you use? What's your go-tos? You wake up.
I wake up. I make my bed.
Yep.
I have
even if the woman's in it, you just make it
yeah,
over.
sort of just throw it to pieces.
Yeah.
Grab some fruit.
Yep.
Take the dogs for a walk. Come back. Do some journaling.
Yep.
Might meditate, and then have some breakfast.
Yep.
Go to work.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. But I think sticking to a routine, is really helpful.
Well, it takes, what is it? I think it's 21 days to build a habit into an actual routine, to make it something a part of your life. And I mean, I've tried it plenty of times, and I mean, it took me probably 4 or 5 goes to actually get something to become a routine instead of just to become a habit instead of just a one-off thing.
Yep.
You're not a gym man? You're not really into the gym much, or?
I have actually started going to the gym.
Yep.
Just in the last, since I read that book, since November.
Yep.
Signed up to the gym.
Yep.
So I go to the gym just about every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but obviously you're not trying to break records or hit PBs or anything, but you do find that it does help and it does put you in the right mindset.
Yeah. So I think it's because I don't play sport anymore. I think it's a good outlet.
Yep.
I think physical activities are really healthy. Obviously for your physicality, for your health,
Yeah, 100%.
your physical health, but also for your mental health.
Yeah.
Being able to work hard and sweat and just being able to do something that's challenging,
Yeah.
I think is really good for you.
Well, you look back at the basic, our makeup, our biological makeup is shit. We're not made to be sitting in front of computers all day. We're literally made to be a hunting machine to survive.
Exactly.
That's our chemical makeup as a being, as an animal, basically. I mean, we're made to run, jump, and chew, basically, and reproduce. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people, and especially also a lot of young men that struggle with mental health, don't implement those things to actually put them forward. I mean, it is a lot of things that I even struggle with myself, that I used to as well, really, really bad. Like I neglected as soon as I left school. Well, I mean, as soon as the heart kind of fucked up, I kind of neglected everything, because I was under the perspective of, oh, I go to the gym, my heart might, something bad might happen to my heart, or, I work too hard and my heart might blow up or some shit. I put some demons in the head. But now, looking at it now, it's kind of, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Nothing bad will happen. Going out for that walk will really benefit you. Really does clear your mind and actually allow you to get that right step forward. And like you said, with physical activity, it really does, I don't know, it releases chemicals in your body that kind of cleanse you and really turn you into a better person. It's kind of weird to say, but it really does.
It does. And I think it's really interesting that for people with mental health illnesses,
Yeah.
it's often not in a treatment plan.
Yeah. Just take the pill.
Exactly.
There's a couple pills,
Take
man.
the pill and do everything the same as you're doing, and
Yeah.
it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Not even close.
Not even close. In 10 years' time, antidepressants are extremely addictive. You're very likely to be feeling the same way, and not have built any behavioural habits that are going to get you out of that place.
Well, with the psychology that you're studying right now, I have a grasp on a lot of things and a lot of, I have a grasp on a lot of things that have been talked about, but I guess that kind of gives you that even better understanding of how that human mind really does work. And was you choosing psychology your first thing that you were going to pick, or was it kind of you realised what the mental health side of things were, and that kind of drew you to it?
Yeah, so originally I wanted to be an architect. So
Yeah.
it's about all through high school I wanted to do architecture at uni.
Yep.
I got towards the end of high school and I was like, this is not at all what I want to. I do not want to be sitting in an office on a computer all day.
Yeah. That's AutoCAD and all that type of stuff, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So it's like, this is not. It's interesting, but it's not what I want to do.
Not your cup of tea.
No.
Yeah.
But I think the human brain and human behavior is extremely fascinating.
Yep.
And I want to be able to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that comes through, clinical practice, maybe becoming a life coach, or creating some sort of business that people can use and use it to better themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something I really want to do, and I find really like there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, you're taking the what's the word? Like, you're taking the education route behind it. I feel like I'm not smart enough to do that. Hence why I've started the podcast. Hence why I've started this brand, and hence why I work with Project Blokes as well. Because I feel like that's my opportunity to be able to help people and be able to show people there are different ways to actually struggle, and not struggle, to beat the demons that you struggle with. Because I feel like I'm not. I feel like once again that's the education kind of like suppressing me. But I just feel like I'm not that type of person to be able to sit there for 4 years and do what you do. But there are obviously other routes that you're able to take and achieve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think reading is a really helpful thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, if it's books, or if it's online articles,
Yeah.
or if it's blog posts.
Or Joe Rogan experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's really helpful.
I'd have A's in that shit, man.
Exactly. The hours. No, but I think a big thing is people need to, especially men, to be able to recognise that there is an issue.
Yeah.
Or they're not as good as they were this time last year.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, okay, I've got this problem.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do something about it.
100%.
It's not I'm not as happy as I was last year. I've put on 20 kilos. I don't talk to half my friends. My relationships are falling apart. I'm not going to do anything about it. And I'm going to bottle it all up.
And just keep going.
It's not a solution, is it?
No. Yeah, now you're kind of hitting home. I've done that plenty of times, man. Like I said in that first potty, that was my first 2 kind of relationships, man. I really, looking back at it now, I really did those things. I just gained the weight and just thought about, keep going forward and she'll be right. Because I did kind of build those walls in my head that, as a man, we're big, strong, tough, and we can do anything basically. But starting to talk about the tools that people use. Is there anything that you're able to really speak to men and women as well, but preferably men as what you've experienced? What are tools that you've really seen that can help, and even not just with you, with people around you? What are tools that you've seen can put someone forward and actually help someone?
So something I really want to talk about. I think in the past we've gone to, pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
And drugs. Take this pill, it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, happy tablets.
Yeah. Unfortunately, depression, anxiety at the more and more people each year are being diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I think it's like 300 million people worldwide. It's like 5% of the adult global population.
That's a big figure
with depression.
That's a big figure when you think about it.
It's a lot of people. Is more than 10 times the population of Australia.
Yeah. So you think about the whole Australia's depressed.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, the tactics they've got at the moment, take this pill, it's going to make you feel better.
Yep.
It's shown it doesn't work. More and more people are getting mentally sick each year with the same treatment. It's obviously not working.
Yep.
So there has been a shift to more behaviour type therapies. CBT's cognitive behavioural therapy. It's more so the counselling side of it.
Yep.
It talks about, finding the root of a problem. If you've just gone through a divorce and you've got, that anxiety built up, I'm never going to find another relationship.
Yeah.
And getting yourself through that. Or, you've had a loved one that's passed away. Being able to talk to somebody is a really big thing.
Yeah.
And there's also some new avenues that have been researched with psilocybin, which is it's a chemical compound found in mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. Wait until the potty from yesterday comes out. I talked about a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's lots of universities. I don't know specifics.
Yeah.
That are doing research with psilocybin.
Have you seen all the ketamine ones as well?
I haven't seen ketamine ones.
So there's over in America, there's a lot of clinical trials with ketamine for depression, and also PTSD.
I've seen PTSD and MDMA.
Yeah.
MDMA used, especially in like war veterans.
Yep.
And that's actually shown to be really helpful in lots of studies.
Just trip your balls and you'll feel all right now.
Pretty but
it's
yeah,
different.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think these drugs, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Have their own stigma around them.
Yeah. Oh, well, used the right way, it can obviously be a massive beneficial thing. I mean, if you're buying off Billy, who lives down the road, who's your cousin's mother's friend, and he cooks the shit in his shed, it's not going to be what you're chasing. But obviously, if it's clinically made and it's grown or created in a lab that's actually got regulations and it is certified and it is actually government tested, I feel like a lot of it could help. Same with I myself don't smoke anymore. I used to smoke a lot of weed, but when I look at America, there's a lot of weed right now that's also being tested with anxiety and depression and even your normal pain or just your day-to-day lives. And it is shown to really, really help people that do suffer from these crippling anxieties and crippling depression. I mean, that's an avenue that we've gone. It's only 10 years old basically, and I feel like fast forwarding another 15 to 20 years, it's going to be even more. Hence why I can't say that word. How do you say it?
Psilocybin.
That one. The mushrooms.
The mushrooms. Yeah.
I really feel like that will in the next 10 years kind of combat that the gain in now I've lost the words. The gain in the mental health and the anxiety that we're suffering in the world. I really feel like these tools that people are researching might actually help these breakthroughs and actually decline it to some degree, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it can only help, to be honest. I think these studies that are being done will be really helpful.
Yep.
For people that are doing the trials, and then hopefully once these drugs become mainstream, they can really help people. But at the same time, when the pharmaceutical drugs were made,
it was the same
available, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think taking this chemical is the only solution. It needs to be used in combination with the change in
diet,
in attitude.
Yeah, attitude, diet, physical, mental, everything. Your whole life needs to change, basically.
Yeah.
So you yourself, would you ever? Do you reckon you'll ever indulge in anything like that? Would you yourself? Obviously, if it becomes legalized and it becomes, a recreational drug, would you ever attempt something like that? Would you be open to that, or?
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting.
Yep, because it does kind of unlock a little bit more of your mind, especially on the Joe Rogan podcast, the way he talks and the way he says, your dimethylate tryptamine, your DMT, your acid, your mushrooms, especially with microdosing, it can really, really unlock that next little part of your brain that might be able to help with other things.
Yeah, so I've actually been listening to a podcast recently.
Yep.
Paul Stamets is a professor in studies mushrooms and the effects psilocybin can have.
Yep.
And he's finding that it's having a huge impact on people. They're just becoming better people. They're becoming nicer.
Yep.
More self-conscious, but at the same time more selfless. They want to help. They want to contribute more to the community and the people around them.
So the hippies were right. The hippies were right, man. Peace and love, man. Peace and love. Did you see that? Now I'm trying to think. There was an article that I seen. It was about a week and a half ago, and this girl ingested. She was 15 at the time. She's now 30 something. She ingested like 500 times the normal dose of acid, right? And apparently the trip lasted for 38 hours, right? And the come down was a week, so it spanned it over a week. And I can't remember what she suffered from. It wasn't anxiety, it wasn't depression. It was bipolar disorder. That's what it was. So apparently her whole life from being 9 years old to up till 15, she was medicated heavily, and seriously suppressed by doctors and her parents. And at the age of 15, apparently she took the 500 times the normal dose of acid. And apparently just tripped balls for hours. But now today, at the age of 30, she kind of says that it chemically reset her brain and sent her back to the old ways that she used to have when she was young. And she really kind of testifies her success. She's some sort of businesswoman in America. She kind of dedicates her success to this one time of taking a shit ton of drugs.
Wow, yeah, I haven't actually heard of that incident, but
it was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Interesting.
It was with Joey. That's when they were talking about it.
Wow, yeah, okay. No, that's really interesting that, you can, it just goes to show
what it can do.
But
once again, it's the mental side of things. Because there's been plenty of times that I've indulged in stuff like that, and it's what you carry into it is what you can carry out with it. If you obviously carry in a negative thought, that negative thought's going to haunt you, and it's just going to basically wreak havoc. But if you're able to carry in there a positive mindset, and you kind of a mantra, you will succeed with this, you will do something with it, then it can turn into a positive.
There's bloke I was just discussing. He was a stutterer. He couldn't hold a conversation.
Yep.
He couldn't look people in the eyes because he'd just choke on his words.
Yep.
And he took some mushrooms, and he found himself, in this mantra, I will not stutter, I will not stutter, I will not stutter.
Yeah, right.
And, he comes out of it, and just like that, it's gone. It's gone.
See, that's pretty trippy, man, when you think about that type of shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like it's all got to be controlled, and it's got to be at a certain age, especially when you're more developed as a human being. Because as a young adolescent, as a young child, which what you are at 14 to about 22, I feel like you're still young. I feel like it really shouldn't be dealt with too much, especially any sort of drug, really. I feel like you really got to wait until your mind's fully matured and actually you've become your own person to then actually want to try these things. Because I feel like at such a young age, it's just not going to... it could work out well, but I just feel like you're more susceptible to have negative impact from it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not endorsing, the use of mushrooms. I'm just, saying that there have been incidences where people have really changed their life.
Yeah.
And they dedicate it to these experiences they've had.
Yep.
And with more research that's being done, I'm sure in the next, 5 to 10 years, there'll be some breakthroughs, and it'll become more of a mainstream
Somewhat normalised.
therapy.
Yeah, well, I mean, once again, when I was talking about that marijuana in America, rewind 25 years ago, and if you had an eighth or a Q or even a half on you, you were going to jail for years, man, or you were going to suffer the consequences. Now today, in I think it's 30-something states, it's fully legalized completely, and you don't need a medical license to smoke it. It's, you know what I mean? It's fully become a recreational drug.
Mm.
And I really do feel like you said, with that time and with that effort, all these other drugs will start to become recreational and actually have that positive impact. But then, with that positive impact, it's kind of an ultimatum when you think about that schooling, like that core of what we were talking about. It all loops back. That core of school really needs to change for then there to be a big impact, I feel like. For there to actually be something that's worth noticing in some way.
Yeah, I really agree. I
And
think
culture as well.
Yeah. I think it starts at school.
Yeah.
I think if they taught these techniques at school, they taught you more about life,
Yeah.
less about things that aren't going to be used.
Well, I just feel like coping mechanisms,
Mm.
like in that type of way, like, like, for instance, I mean, you don't have to talk upon it, but I feel really strong about this, like Emmaus's planning room thing. I did not like it one bit. The premise behind it was smart, like how they structured it, like this is a plan, talk about the plan, and really this might help you in this relationship. But the way it was carried out, I really felt like it was a negative thing because I was in there all the time. And I'd done every plan under the sun almost. And I really feel like the way they held it and carried it, it was kind of a stigma and kind of like this is the bad room. This is where the bad kids go. This is your plan. This is how you talk to your teacher. And this is what's going to happen next time. It kind of built that stigma of, if you're a naughty kid, you're going to stay a naughty kid. It didn't try and get you out of the rut. It just kind of stopped you at that point in time. And I feel like if they try and teach us or try to implement positive things in school, I feel like it could really change that culture and actually put us at a step forward and not just make us repeat that same cycle again and again and again.
Yeah, I agree. The kids at school now are going to be, the leaders of the future.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it needs to start.
Yeah. Yeah, well, listen, man, I mean, we've been pumping for an hour and a half. I've got a couple of questions before I wrap it. I have asked it, but can you elaborate on what you really think a young man should do in today's time? Like, our age to 14, 13, someone that's just really can be impacted from what you can say. What do you think are some tools that can really help?
I think having your close network
Yep.
is really useful, and being able to talk to them about, have real conversations with them.
Yep.
Not just about how the footy was on the weekend, about how your home life is,
Yep.
how you're feeling, about your family, about things that are meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really a really good thing to be able to do.
Yep.
I also think physical activity, especially for young boys, is almost essential.
Crucial.
Just to be able to have an outlet, just to be able to, work your ass off for.
Get a bit angry.
Yeah.
That's
get
how
it
I
out.
that's how I used to feel about it. Like footy, you could just, it's kind of barbaric, but you could just smack someone. Like you could just, you had a bad day and you're just like, your head's on the chopping block.
Exactly.
That's the way I approached it.
Yeah, I think it's almost essential to be able to, get out there and work hard.
Yep.
Physical activity. Release those endorphins and all those happy hormones in your brain.
Yeah.
And you'll start making yourself feel better naturally.
Yeah.
Rather than relying on a pharmaceutical drug
Or a phone. Or alcohol. Or anything really.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unhealthy food. If there's one thing, right? One thing I want to start implementing this. If there's one thing that you could have said to your younger self, what would that be? If there's one thing, one little sentence that you just could have spat at yourself, What do you reckon?
I probably would have said no one cares.
Yeah.
Not no one cares in the sense that you don't have anyone to talk to,
Yeah.
but no one cares in the way that you portray yourself.
Yeah.
So don't try and
Show off.
fit everybody else.
Yeah.
Do your own thing.
Yep.
Because really, people that try and fit to be everyone else, and you try and be a sheep, you're bundling up your own creative juices, and you're not going to become the best version of yourself because you're not being yourself. You're trying to be
man.
everyone else.
100%. That's a really good answer. I did not think of that. I mean, mine would have been, I probably would have said, I don't know, being stupid, I would have said like invest in crypto, or like, buy some Bitcoin. But thinking of something that would have been able to help me is really listen. That's one thing that I would have said to me past self, is really listen. Like, I always try to be a class clown in a way, and I feel like looking back at it now, there's a lot of people that had tried to take that step, but I just wasn't listening to what they were saying. Like, a lot of boys and a lot of mates had said some words, but you kind of you're not used to those words, so you just brush it off and continue on with the conversation. I really feel like listening could have helped a lot of people, and could have made me really realise that there were other people out there that were struggling and suffering the same way as me.
My mum always says, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
Use them in that ratio.
Yeah. That's gangster. Listen, man, once again, I thank you tenfold for coming on here today and spitting the shit with me and actually communicating and actually, trying to get out there and actually tell people your story. And I mean, you're more than welcome to get on any other time you want, man. Whenever you're free, you're more than welcome to jump on and have a chit chat. I mean, it would be really good as well, like, because you're right at this infancy of your creative journey. Like, you know what I mean? You've finally realised now that these are the steps that you can take and this is what you can do. And I really feel like it'd be good for listeners to kind of look at you as like a little guinea pig, you know what I mean? Like, see you here and you're at the infancy of it, and you never know, we might go somewhere with this podcast and I might interview 5 years or 10 years or 20 years from now and be able to see the success that you've been able to really manifest with what you're doing.
That'd be awesome. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, man.
And I'd really like to do it again.
100%, man. Well,
I really like what you're doing here.
Thank you.
I think it's only for the good, and it can only go up.
Yeah, man. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Thanks, man. I'll shake your hand, man. Much love. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
It's been your boy Noah Keune, Altruistic Podcast with the man Finn. I'm gonna tell everyone, don't forget to brush your teeth and comb your hair and make your bed. But is there anything you want to add before we head off?
Drink some water and go for a walk. Look up at the sky and smile.
Smile at the sky. Smile at the sky. Drink water, go for a walk. Anyway, guys, peace and love. I'll catch you when I'm looking at you, eh? Peace.